call, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the pimp slap P.O.D., Mike L.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not the typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike, money's killers might even make the even news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Sports Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up? What up? Welcome into Last Call. Here we go. Pub Sports Radio, 6 p.m. Tuesday, May the 21st. And you know Tuesdays mean we bring on our guy, Billy Briz, to help us get paid in all things basketball. And maybe we'll get him in here for some Major League Baseball as well. It's going to be a fun show tonight. Round 3 pops off. We got a big one between the Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. Lots of fun talking about that with some of you guys earlier today, and I cannot wait to see what you guys are on here with regards to that game. Already laid it down yesterday, the strategy of how I'm going to attack this series, so I'm excited to talk to Billy Briz about his breakdowns there. You know we got some WNBA. There's 3 games in play. The first one starts at 7:30. We'll have action there. And we lit up the Major League Baseball card. Not our finest hour last night, but I made a comment to you guys yesterday about, kind of the situation with baseball, the analytics, more, not less, more action. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means when you quantify that tonight, because surprise, surprise, we're a lot of plays deep. We're almost 200 plays deep now in Major League Baseball, but we're cashing, we're green, we're healthy early. I told you guys to start this thing off. Major League Baseball, NHL, best 2 sports out there. And we're already showing the dividends from it. So excited to get after it with you guys tonight. Hit that thumbs up button if you're just getting in here. We appreciate you taking the time to drop in. You know the deal here. We need your help. Grab that pen and pencil. You're going to want to write down the plays that are being shared here, not just by myself, Billy, and our panel, but the chat is the sharpest chat in the business. It puts a smile on my face to say it because it's true. Man, you guys fire bullets and they cash more often than not. So last but not least, throw your plays out there in the chat. Let's talk about what you guys are on as well. We've had all day to sit on this card and try to figure out how we're going to get paid. Now it's time to put the action to work to get that cash. And I'm excited for the show. I'll tell you, I've just been sitting here the last maybe 20 minutes, just looking back. And I don't know, the first MLB play on the card, I'm still going back and forth. So we'll do a recap. Then we'll jump through, see what you guys have going on here. Order for the show tonight. We're going to start with Major League Baseball. Then we're going to jump into the NBA. Then we're going to finish it off with the WNBA. No pun intended there. Plus, 7:30 is the first WNBA game. So we got plenty of time tonight. It's going to be exciting to see what you guys are rocking with, though. Let's see, in fact, just that. Our first commenter in the chat, of course, it's my guy, Joe T. He says, hey, Mikey, what's up? Let's get that cash. His Mets Guardians over 9 is literally about to pop off. So, excuse me, he likes that Mets Guardians over 9. The Brewers and the Marlins over 8. And his Timberwolves in 5 at plus 350. And 6 at plus 500. Why not? Why not take a stab at it? They'll let Dallas win 1 game, or the Wolves in 4 plus 850. My plus 6,000 is looking okay. Gosh, Joe T, it's exciting to track your action, see how you're doing. Good luck to you. I do think Dallas wins game 1, though. I'll let the cat out of the bag and share an early look there. But anyhow, let's go after it there. John Chase in the house. This is Pacers plus 10.5 in the Rockies parlay. That Rockies game was the other game I'm sitting on and trying to it's a bigger baseball card than I expected it to be today. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we're squeezing to try to find some plays, and other days it just kind of lines itself up. It's funny. It was more difficult to find the RBIs today than it was to get into the plays themselves. We'll have to see how that plays out. I'm still kicking these 2 ultimately back and forth. Sancho in the house. What's up, my guys? This is the last call. Here we go. There's Justin McAlvey with his stacks play of the day. J.D. Martinez over 1.5 bases minus 104. It's a really strong look, Justin. That guy's got a ton of track record and success out there for the boys. The Futon Bet says Celtics raced to 30 points first quarter. Let's get this cash, buddy. And Troy Torrance says he loves the card tonight. Troy, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, I really like the sides and even some of the totals. It was hard because you know why the RBIs were so hard was that the guys that I like to get into the stable are all in that plus 120 range. And that's where it doesn't mathematically make sense. So I decided I'm still battling, just decompressing after looking at this card all day with you guys here. Winner's Circle says, Ayo, Celtics Pacers over the total and White over 15.5 points. And the Celtics first quarter out there for our guy. Winner's Circle. Oldies says, long day at work. No pre-flop for me. But boots are off and ready to make some live moves, my guy, Oldie. Appreciate you coming in. Kenny Wood's in the house. Good to see you, Ken. RVD 420's in the house there. He says, what's up, Mikey? Mike M, what's the look for tonight? Kenny Wood says, what's up, Troy Torrance? Got to recognize our guy, Troy Torrance, coming in here, hanging out with us, blessing us with his presence and his action. He's been firing away. Make sure you follow my guy on X. He's got quite the analytical breakdown, detail galore from our guy, Troy Torrance, over there on X. Oldie says, Troy, I'm speed reading MLB market. Definitely better than the last few days. Red Bearded Chicks in the house there. Smoke and Mirrors says, Mike M, let's make that money. Make that money, baby. You got to make that money for sure. Smoke and Mirrors. Oldie, let's go. Josh Lower in the house there says, Edmonton never makes it easy. And Justin McKelvey says, you can't defend yourself for another 6 minutes. All good stuff. Gerald Jones says, what's up, pub and crew? Best bet, San Francisco Giants, -1 for our guy, Gerald Jones. Juggler 23's got the NBA trend of the night. Top-seeded teams have been stellar at covering big point spreads. 24-3 straight up, 17-10 against the spread. That's a 63% win rate. We'd love to see that. In the conference finals, when favored by 6.5 points or more. Troy Torrance asking Ian what he likes tonight. Kelsey's in the house. What up, Kelsey? It's good to see you. Keith says I'm sorry, Keith, my bad. I'm still distracted by this. Waiting to see I want to see like a 2 cent. I don't care what direction the movement is in the Phillies game. I just want to see 2 cents to be able to figure out to lock this thing down. Keith says, what's up, Mike? MLB Dinger promo taking a bomb with McNeil Homer at 10.60. That is indeed a bomb, my guy. Good luck to you, Keith. Justin McKelvey's giving Oldie the shout out. And here's Juggler 23, the Wise Guy Group WNBA play. The Mystics +3.5. They're 5-2-1 against the spread. Remember that. Remember our guy Juggler 23 came in to start the WNBA season off. He said the Wise Guys were cashing over 60% last year. And look at the start they're already on now. 5-2-1. Just Juggler 23, we appreciate you sharing, my guy. Thanks for being here on the regular. Steve Bailey in the house says, Mikey, Phil's first 5. Oldie says, Troy, I'm going to have Brewers Marlins on the big screen. Really interested in the Brewers starting pitcher. And Oldie says, and Florida man, fins up. Tori Coker's in the house. Steve G says, the Oilers. Now we roll with Dallas, 123-89 NHL record. Let's go. Nice job, Steve G, my guy. Yeah, that sucked. That was a bad spot for me last night. Just not a good. Whatever. Tori Coker, I'm on the Aces first half -8 and the Pacers +10. Tori Coker says, also took Celtics money line, Marlins +1.5 and the Seattle Mariners money line. Chase J in the house says, peaches are finally growing down here. It's summer. I have a bunch of fresh ones straight from the garden set aside for this show. Now let's lock some bets in there. Let's go, Chase J. Rob McMahon says he's on the Orioles to put up a 10 spot tonight. Holy cow. Team total over 9.5. I wonder what that would pay out there. Joseph Thompson says he's on the Phillies first 5 -0.5. NJ Striker's in the house. What up, NJ Striker? Old E. Tori Coker says also WNBA parlay the Mystics +4 and the Aces first half over 86.5. Keith says, Oldie, appreciate it. You too, cash these plays. Kelsey likes the Celtics -18 to unload the clip on them Pacers tonight. Troy likes the under in Boston. And there's our guy, Preston Ekdahl. Man, they're firing over there at Talking Hands. He says, Usyk got it done. Who wins this week? Tune into the main event on Talking Hands. 19-6 the last 25. Holy smokes. 500, a +300, a +200, a +180, a +160. Only give out one play each week from our guy, Preston Ekdahl. That's awesome, man. Good on you. Keep it rolling. Keep giving us them hot plays. Let's get that cash. And Andrew G says, Mikey, money. Let's find a bag. Let's do just that. Let's get into this thing here. And let's start off with a recap. Look, yesterday was one of those days where you got to question the breaks, right? We got the Brewers. Brewers are up 2-1. They get walked off, lost. We had the Yankees. Yankees are up. What was it? 5-1, lost. The parlay between the Brewers and the Yankees lost, obviously. Those two teams lost. Then I added the Minnesota Twins under 7.5. That lost too. That's definitely disappointing. The Detroit under 8.5 and the Detroit parlay with the under 8.5. That sixth inning destroyed that enthusiasm. And then Baltimore struggling. But the Baltimore Nerfy did cash. So we did cash that. How about Houston Astros? -1.5. This is a shit day. We did get the Houston first 5 team total over 2.5. We did get our Kyle Tucker RBI at +145. Lost the WNBA game in the Suns -5.5 and Vancouver. It wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. By the time the Astros gave up that lead in the bottom of the 5th inning, by the way, shout out to anybody that lost that first half Houston -0.5 spot. By the time that got popped off there, I was like, I'm just checked out. And then the Vancouver game starts and it's like bang, bang. And anyhow, that was yesterday. We're on to a new day. And I'm excited to get into it with you guys. We got to bounce back. We got to rebound. We got to recover. Don't judge us by the losses. Judge us by how we come back firing the next day. That's all you could ask. And, I mentioned this before. I said this yesterday specifically on the show, midway through the point there. Baseball, the data pool, it's just like an insurance deal here where you've got the laws of large numbers. The law of large numbers gives you more of a purified sample. And when you see a 65% hit rate, it's more of a true 65% hit rate. That's why we can go out there and fire these bullets. I told you guys yesterday, you don't want to miss out on the volume that is. Now, if it's summertime, you're not watching it too often, you're not heavily invested, then you got to do that. I get it. But you want to stay in the game. And if that means you got to dial down the size of the unit to play more, this is the only time of the year that I will volunteer and say that is how you got to do it. Why? Look, we're 95 and 99 on the show here for this Major League Baseball season. 95 and 99. You would think, hey, maybe 95 and 99. He's about even. Wrong. We're 20.2 units up on the season at 95 and 99. It's not a great record. But I said this on Jimmy the Bag Show earlier today, too. You don't have to pick the winners all the time in the dog race there. Some guys were arguing, saying, not arguing, but just speaking their mind and saying, picking those spots. Look, shit teams still win 60 to 70 games a season. You're taking plus money stabs at these things. You're going to cash more often than you're not. That's how you play the game. I get it with everybody talking about fading the -300s. I fully get it. I'm fully on board with that. -1.5s and -150s. Stay away from those here. But you got to take some shots. They got to be calculated shots. But when you see those plus money opportunities, don't just shy away from them. Sometimes in a game like tonight with the Atlanta and Chicago series here, maybe it's not the plus money spot. Maybe it's the value that is there with -120 in Atlanta. Troy Torrance knows exactly what I'm talking about. Watch what he's doing on X. The volume that he drops out there, but it adds up. It's grinding. We got a whole 160 games to grind through in the summertime. And if you're just trying to pick one spot to get it done, well, now you went 0-1 today. So you lost that game. You're 0-1. You're going to wait till tomorrow? No, there's too many games. There's too many plus money opportunities to go. We're not talking about chasing. We're talking about getting out there, making calculated decisions to go get plus money. That's how the job gets done, and that's what we've done thus far in Major League Baseball. Like I said, a smidge under 500. We'll get that record up there. Keep in mind, the month of March and the beginning of April, we weren't strong. We weren't strong off the hop. It wasn't until the last couple of weeks when the data starts to mature, when we start to have more information in that law of large numbers that I talked about. The sample has to get bigger for us to get more accurate and sharp with those numbers. So that's my soapbox for the day. I mentioned that, though. I just wanted to share with you guys where we're at with Major League Baseball. And we're only a month and a half in. I guess we're probably almost 2 months in now. But hey, what the hell? We still got 6 months to go, 5 months to go of baseball. We're already up over 20 units on the show. I'm excited about what this summer has in store for us. Look, I said this as well. WNBA is not my specialty, but the fuck, there's 8 teams. How hard can it be? We'll get that thing right as well. If you ask me, would I rather cap the CFL or the WNBA? Because that's what we're going to come down to in the summer. I'm still WNBA. I'm not messing around with that. I'm not messing around. Well, maybe I will. Maybe. I can't stand to watch it, but I don't really watch the WNBA either. So I guess I got to get off my soapbox there and let's see what we can go. Oldie says defeat variance with volume. We are not reinventing the wheel. Hell yeah, Oldie. And it's got to, obviously it's got to be the right plays. We clearly know that, but the more plus money opportunities we take, the more we're going to be cashing big tickets. Perlo in the house. What up? He says, shout out to you, Mike. You rock. Appreciate you. Troy Torrance says each unit for me representing 0.5% of my bankroll, but it makes you way more flexible. And then Kelsey says, Mike, you need your own late night sports talk show on TV. Thanks, Kelsey. You guys don't want to hear from me on. I like to have cocktails, and then I get inaudible after a few hours of sitting around watching sports, gambling live. I become inaudible, and I'm slurring. So I'm cognizant of that. I'm aware. I'm self-aware. I'm self-aware of that. Make America Great Again says, let's get it. Let's get it. My guy Indeed Coin says, what's good, Mikey in chat? Let's have it Tuesday. All right. I spent enough time chit-chatting and sidebarring. Let's see if I got the movement in this game that I was looking for. I'm fully perplexed in this Phillies game here. All right. We're not there yet. All right. Let's talk about the first game on the lineup here. 6:40 p.m. It's the Padres and the Reds. Padres and the Reds open up here. Reds, home dogs at plus 102. They've moved to plus 107. 64% of the bets and 69% of the cash on the Padres. No movement. So it's kind of like stabilizing the line, right? I'd be curious to talk to Troy about that offline too. When you see like the minus 120 doesn't move, but the dog line does move. Like how does that? Well, we'll have to talk about that offline. But anyhow, the totals started at 9.5. It's up to 9.5. It went down to 9 for a smidge. 62% of the bets and 66% of the cash on the over. It's Musgrove. It's Abbott. It's a battle. You know what we got going on here with these two teams right now? You know, we obviously know what happened with the Padres, right? Back to back. They had the doubleheader yesterday. Difficult spot. They're still in travel mode as well. And they handled them Atlanta Braves. Man, them Braves bats got turned off. 3-1 victory to start the series off. 9-1 victory after that. 6-5. They kind of started to come back to life, them Braves did. And then they did pick up that last game of the series. That was the second leg of the doubleheader. Let's not forget that was a huge comeback in that inning, the 8th and 9th innings for the Padres to come out there and pick up that win. The first game of the doubleheader made that second game ultra easy, just zigzag theory, right? They're going to have to travel. They got to get out of town. Let's look at the Reds. Their bats are struggling right now. They went 1-3. They opened up the win on that first game of the series against the Dodgers. It's back-to-back road trips. And it's a weird spot because they played Arizona what feels like 100 times in the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's probably 95 times, but nonetheless, tight games, ultra tight games out there. And then they get up against this Dodgers team. They score 7 runs that first game, 3 the next, 0, and then a 2 spot out there. I was originally going to jump in on this Reds team. I thought Reds, but the narrative, everybody's talking about it. They had the doubleheader of the Padres, and it was a travel spot. I was surprised to see when a team has the doubleheader situation and you look to fade them that next game. That's a losing proposition. I didn't think that would be the case. I was really surprised. Let me, in fact, if I can see it specifically, let me see. Where is it? I fucked it up. It's okay. I'll find it again and I'll bring it back up tomorrow, but it's specifically related to, here we go. This is specific in relation to the team that's traveling from, the home team going on the road in this case here, but you had the doubleheader, 2 games, no rest. Now you're on the road. You're 59-42 in those spots out there. I'll have to do some juggling with the numbers to see what it actually looks like for the road team that's still in travel mode. But I was surprised because that kind of goes to what I was saying about that Atlanta team. Like, Atlanta Braves at a minus 124. I mean, that's almost a spot. You got to, 44-43 on the run line, but 59-42 where you would think they had the doubleheader. They're getting out of town and they're gassed. Not over 100 game sample. They're strong. They're strong enough to show big victories out there. But anyhow, back to this game specifically. I cut the Reds. I got a shitload of plays on this card today, and I cut this red spot. I didn't like what I saw the line doing as far as the movement's concerned, but I'm jumping in with an RBI. Let's open the card up with an RBI. I've got 2 RBIs for you guys on the card tonight. And the first one here with Ellie De La Cruz to me just felt like an easy option. First and foremost, the guy's leading Major League Baseball in stolen bases. He's got 12 more than anybody else to him in Major League Baseball. Now you're probably saying, Mike, we're talking hitting props. Why are you talking stolen bases? Because you can't steal bases unless you're on base. That means he's getting on base more than a good chunk of Major League Baseball. And on top of that, he's already had some success against Musgrove. He went 1 for 3 with a double against this guy. Should be out there and alive to steal bases. It's like a minus 105 to get the job done. But kind of where I was going with this one here is Musgrove's getting his first start back from the 15-day IL report there. So kind of untested, didn't really have much of a rehab assignment out there. I don't know if he just caught a break because maybe he was tired and they just kind of stuffed him into that 15-day IL to make amends for it. But, Give me this Ellie De La Cruz. Plus, he's a switch hitter. So Ellie can go lefty or righty out there. To me, when you're the switch hitter against even a strong pitcher, basic math, you got the option to figure out what's going to be more conducive to getting the ball in the air and getting things moving. Plus 175 for Ellie De La Cruz just seemed goddamn disrespectful. I'm opening the card up there. Plus 175 for Ellie De La Cruz to get the job done. RBI today. Nope, it's Dinger Tuesday. I get that. Fully feel free to use Ellie De La Cruz in the home run realm. I believe it was around plus 600 out there. And let's see. Troy says, let's see. We got some good comments from you guys going on up here in the chat. Shout out to PDog781. He says, love the over in the Red Sox game. I got it at 8, though. Kelsey says it would be perfect. Padres, money line for Perky. Bumps. See, that's what I'm saying, Perky. You're not falling for it. Red Bearded Chick says, took Reds under 9.5. Fernando Mendoza says under 9. Troy says, I actually didn't even know that was possible. And the way my database is set up, I can't measure when that happens. Yes, it was weird. It's like, I think it's more stabilizing the line than if we're talking about the minus 120 not moving and the plus 102 going to plus 107. It's almost like they're stabilizing that number for some reason. But anyways, Kelsey says, smash the like button, guys. Please do just that. Darius Moore says, lean Padres and the under. Perky says, I'm not playing games. It's Padres money line. This one for all the marbles. Let's get on our feet and get loud. Troy Torrance says, this is the sharp trap spot on the Reds. I don't love the fact the Padres are off the double header. Perky says, Troy says, Perky, all the effing marbles out there. Ricky Bobby says, yo, Mike and Chad, I'm late, but smash the like button. Darius Moore in the house. Kelsey says, Mikey, for your 150th show, you should wear a robe and drink the whole show. Huge 150 graphic in the corner. You know what? I think we're only 3 away. So what does that get us to? Friday? That gets us to Friday? Oh, man. It's a big Friday, too. It's my birthday on Friday, so it'll be a lot of fun to see. 150 on my birthday? I'm not 150, though. I'm not 150. I'll be, how old will I be? Oh, man. I'm turning 44. Eesh, it's ugly. Hey, don't get me distracted, you guys. We got work to do. Let's get after it. Lots of fun coming here. This is show 147. So let's move on to next play in the docket tonight here. The deck of cards is, I don't know what I was going to say there, but 6:40 p.m. I know what I'm doing here is this Brewers and Marlins spot. We got the Brewers opened up as minus 136 favorites. Here's another situation. 70% of the bet, 70% of the cash on the Brewers. It's moved from minus 136 to minus 135. But then you look at the Marlins. It's gone from plus 116 to plus 122. Stabilized the line, I guess. I don't know. The total went from 8. It hasn't really moved at all. 98% of the bets and 98% of the cash on this total. We got Gasser at a 0.82 ERA for these Milwaukee Brewers, and then Trevor Rogers on the bump for the Miami Marlins. Struggling year for Trevor Rogers, 5.79 ERA, 1-6 on the season. Trevor Rogers is terrible. Terrible. Trevor Rogers, 4-22 on the money line when he's priced in this wheelhouse. We've talked about we talked about Berrios. We talked about this range of pitchers and options. It's a bad spot for Trevor Rogers here. I'm running back to him. Not just that, but road teams off a loss where they blew the lead. Clearly, that Brewers spot yesterday. 47-11 if it's in the same series. So big bounce back opportunity for these guys. We're going to fade away on Trevor Rogers. I'm not going to mess with the first 5 in the full game, but I'm going to back this pitching staff and what the Brewers have doing here. Looking for them to get that big bounce back. Minus 135. You want to get to minus 1? Go get it. I talked about that yesterday. You would have saved some juice. We still would have lost, but I don't think the Brewers do that twice here. I think especially with Trevor Rogers, the advantage is Brewers in the bounce back spot. First official side of the day is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's get it done. Perky says, I'll straight up punch myself in the face during the bottom of the 4th. That's how stoked I am for this game. Perky, don't go hurting yourself now. Chase says, no pressure. I'm putting my money I set aside for Bills on a select few plays. All of you are commenting. Steve G says, don't bet beyond your means. Don't change your unit size and don't have too many bets on your card. Steve G, did you hear the intro for Major League Baseball? It's all good. It's all good. I do agree with that, especially like as we get tighter with with the NHL and the NBA. Got to find some different ways to go after it and attack that buck. Too much action. Sharp as hell are them lines. So let's go. Darius Moore says, I like the first 5 under in the Reds-Padres game. Jeff Dahmer, hit the like button for Mikey. Boy, Kelsey says, oh my God, happy birthday Friday, Mikey. Jeff Dahmer says it's his birthday today. And Kelsey says, happy birthday, Dahmer. What's for dinner? Peter Gracia says, happy birthday, 44 Reggie Jackson. Yeah, I guess I got to look at the positive, right? Got to look at the positive. I don't know where it all went there. If you don't believe me, look it up. Geez. Jason Torres in the house. Says, Joe Ross left the game early yesterday, so the Brewers had to. Yeah, that's a great call about that game. That was definitely disappointing. When I heard, and then they scored, and they went up, and I was like, all right, maybe we'll be okay. I don't know what happened. They just gave up. They didn't want to use the bullpen too premature in that series, I guess. Kelly V says, Gasser thought he should have been up in the majors last year. Milwaukee minus 136. Tori Coker says the Marlins plus 1.5. Darius Moore likes the Brewers and the under. And Elaine Kalman in the house. There's a name I have not seen thus far, Elaine. Welcome in. Says, I love the Marlins. David Wallace says, best up too early today. I'll think about that. I haven't used that yet there. P-Dog says Brewers now 0-7 on Mondays, but 5-2 on Tuesdays. All right. Guillermo says, whose birthday? Nobody's yet. Well, Jeffrey Dahmer's birthday's today, apparently. So it's all good. Onward and upward, you guys. That's going to do it for me this play here. I'm taking the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going right back to it. This next play is the one that I'm just kind of trying to refresh. I got to get right with my head space in this one here. Let me see what we have here. Fuck. Let me see. We're looking at the Texas Rangers and the Philadelphia Phillies game. I want to take this Phillies -1. I want to. I've got it drawn up to take the Phillies -1. Look, bad spot for the Phillies the last time. Favorite shorter than a -125, meaning they're a bigger favorite, right? This -170, Phillies qualify. Favorite shorter than a -125 that got swept the last time out are 20-1. Straight up, 14-7 on the run line in the first game of a series. So basically, it's the bounce back. You got swept the last series. You're a pretty good-sized favorite, medium to a large favorite. The next game to open the series up against that team, and you're 14-7 on the run line, 20-1 straight up. What's my hesitation? What am I flip-flopping about here? I'll just let you guys into some of the insight that I've got kicking around here. Only one starter in Major League Baseball has 4 or more starts and is undefeated in those starts. It's Ranger Suarez. He's got 9-0 record going on right now. Ranger Suarez does. The problem I have, this Rangers team. John Gray should get blasted. Everybody should be eating on this Phillies lineup. Where I'm struggling right now is when the Rangers are in the dog role and their starting pitcher won his last go-round, they're 8-0. 8-0 in those spots out there. I'm going to table it. I've got Philly -1 at -120. I know there's there's not a lot of time left for it, but you know what? Let me just refresh one more thing here. I'm not trying to waffle or waver with you guys, but again, it's a full card for me. I'm just trying to give you the action that I'm jumping in on here. I mean, you do have the right line movement. It opened at -162. It's moved to -167. It's 90% of the bets, 89% of the cash. The Rangers are +136. Now moved to +145. All right, fuck it. Famous last words. All right, fuck it. I'm just going to stay with it. We got it out there already. What's the deal? We'll just keep it in play. Too much work for me to go in there and try to cancel it now anyways with the show in play. So we'll leave it in there. Let's go to this next play though. This might be my favorite play on the card tonight. So if anybody's looking for just one, remind yourselves that I said that. I highlight this one. Asterisk, do what you have to do to it. It's a 6:40 start as well. It's the San Francisco Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Great line here. We've got a -138. A little bit of reverse line movement, though, for the San Francisco Giants. 69% of the bets, 75% of the cash on the San Francisco Giants. The line went from -138 to -132. Correlated movement now, +118 for the Pirates down to +115. Then as far as the total, it's getting steamed to the over right now. They're expecting runs in this game. It opened at 8.5. It's moved to 9. 90% of the bets and 91% of the cash on this over. It's Martin Perez. Talk about them Texas Rangers now playing for these Pittsburgh Pirates. 4.86 ERA. No run support for this guy yet again. 1-3 on his season. On the other side of things, Logan Webb, 3.03 ERA, 4-4 on the season. Mediocre results here, but favorite play on the board for a couple of reasons. One, I love the price point in this spot for San Francisco. Both these teams are pretty comparably situated. But I'm going to tell you, I think in terms of experience and pitching staff, bullpen, and the likes, the San Francisco Giants are just pen to paper better all around than this Pittsburgh Pirates team. 3 straight wins against that surging Colorado Rockies team. Let's not forget they had 8 straight wins out there, and the Giants put them down. They also handled the Dodgers out there. So they're making their first road trip kind of back out to the East Coast here, but we do have a little bit of a rest advantage as well. The last time at least from the starting pitching perspective here, what we do have going on here is the hot away favorite, the better team on the road coming into a situation here is an 85-32 position. The game 1 away favorite, first game of a series, road favorite versus a bad team is 77-23. It's 9-1 in that spot over its last 10. That's specific to a first game of a season, the away favorite versus a bad team. This is where I kind of talked about this Houston spot the other day when I talked about the bounce back for Javier. This was last week now. Some of these teams didn't start off the gate with the strong footing. So when you're looking at some of these trends where they talk about how they're just a better team, even though you look statistically at their numbers and they're both like same wins and loss numbers, this is a spot where we're taking advantage of a team that didn't get off the ground running the way they wanted to. On paper, all their guys are better, and you're seeing that the line makers are saying they're the better team. In these spots, they're 85-32, won 9 of their last 10, 77-23, game 1 away favorite. When you're hot away favorite out there, which is defined by a certain number of wins that you've got over your last 2 series, when you're hot as the away favorite, you're 85-32. Lots of opportunity here, I think, to take this San Francisco Giants team. And I'm not mad at this price at -132. I mean, if you want to get the -1 in there, that's good. Look, the reason I would be comfortable with that in this case here simply is that they're the road team. So you get that 9th inning to try to go out there and continue to smash on a potentially depleted bullpen. So for me, I'm jumping in. San Francisco, both feet in. Untouchable Jaces, -120 on ESPN. I love that number even better. Thanks for line shopping for us. Untouchable Jay giving us the best look there with ESPN. Coins to see in Pittsburgh, 8.5s now. Yeah, there's been a little variance out there. This number's starting to come back. Fletcher Berry's in the house. Maybe we can make one of these plays a rollover out there. I like that idea, Fletcher Berry. Let's in fact do that. Let's in fact do that. Let me look at the card here. Let's look at this card. I think I got a rollover for us. Let's go. Let's keep going, guys. On to the next game that we've got on deck. Let's go. Seattle and the Yankees, and we're looking at a big one here in the Bronx. Big comeback yesterday, Seattle. How about that? Seattle hadn't won a game in the Bronx since like 1998 in the first game of the series. Came out there, struggled early, looked great for Yankees fans, 4-1. I was finishing cutting the lawn. I come back in. I'm like, holy shit, it's 5-4. And then it was just snatched the life out of me and took the fun right out of the game. Wasn't a good time, but here's what we're going to do with this game here tonight. We've got this line opened up at -166. 90% of the bets, 97% of the cash on the New York Yankees. The line is dropping. It's gone from -166 to -158. It's another one of those little quirksters there where it opened at +140 and it's still sitting at +140 for the Mariners. But the total is the angle that I'm looking to attack in this game. It started at 8.5. There are some 8s out there. 97% of the bets and 97% of the cash. We got Clark Schmidt, 2.49 ERA, 5-1 on the season for these Yanks. And then we got Woo going out there with Seattle with a 0.93 ERA and 1-0 on the season. I think this is a great underspot. First of all, you got reverse line movement. This thing's getting steamed to the bejesus on the over. We look at yesterday's game. Think about, when you look at these two pitchers and what you've got going on with Clark Schmidt right now. He sucks on the road. He's fucking terrible on the road. He's got to have like a 7 ERA. He's horrible on the road. But he's fucking stellar at home. He's a sub-3 ERA at home. It's night and day, this guy at home versus being on the road. You're putting him in the confines of Yankee Stadium with all them New York fans. We know Brian Woo at a 0.93 ERA is certainly capable of going out there and matching fire with fire as well. We saw this was a relatively lower game right up until the very end yesterday, 5-4 finish here, but we got a total that's pegged at 8.5. What do we got when non-divisional favorites between a -125 and a -190 go out there in the same series? They're 27-4 to the under. They're going under by almost 2.5 runs per game out there. You can only get the 8, so be it, but I'm on this 8.5 here. I think it's even worth paying up for this 8.5 in this spot, specifically because, well, I don't know about that. I mean, the margin of victory, 2.5 runs, it's got a 62% ROI behind this thing as well. So there's definitely some good meat on that bone out there. At minus 105 for the 8's fine. Even money, even at Caesars for the 8 and FanDuel. But DraftKings is hanging that 8.5. They're hanging it at minus 115. I'm going to take the opportunity to pay up a little bit for that hook because I do believe even if we get to 8, I want this victory here. We've got such a strong angle rolling for us out there at a nice 27-4 to the under. Give me this thing to be a lower scoring spot with these two studs on the bump. Onward and upward. Let's keep it moving. 7:40 Eastern, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Royals. Back to the scene of the crime. Back to the scene of this fucking game yesterday. Like I said, the only thing that was positive about this game yesterday is Kansas City ripped the Band-Aid off around the 6th inning, and they scored so many runs I didn't have to watch the rest of the game. So that was the positive behind it. But I'm going right back to it. I'm stubborn, I guess, is what they'll say out there. The Kansas City Royals got a ton of action. 74% of the bets and 93% of the cash. The lines only moved a cent, minus 106 to minus 107. Then we look at this total. Started at 9. We're starting to see 8.5s out there, but we've got 93% of the bets, 91% of the cash on this over. It's Alec Marsh going for Kansas City. He's got a 2.43 ERA. He's 3-1 on the season. On the other side of things, we got Mize going for Detroit, 3.5 ERA, 1-2. Story of some of these guys' young careers. You know, they can go out there and they can handle business, but they just can't control whether or not they're getting that run support. Not his fault that he's sporting a 1-2, but he does have a 3.5 ERA. I'm going back to it. It's a double dipper. I got the Detroit game under 9 at minus 108. Minus 108 for this Detroit game under 9. I parlayed the Detroit in under 9 at plus 275. Hear me out with this one. First of all, this is going to be the rollover game. This Kansas City Detroit under is going to be the rollover spot for me. The Detroit Tigers are perfect 17-0 to the under when it's less than 9.5, and Casey Mize is on the bump. Big opportunity out there, 17-0 to the under. Huge. Minus 108 for that spot. I also believe in this bounce back opportunity. Detroit got stung yesterday a little too early. Now, I know the Nerfy situation. Kansas City often Nerfy goes out there, plays well, and they play to the under. But in this case here, I'm not so sold on Alec Marsh. They've both been solid, but I think that it has a lot more to do with the inability of offense that Casey Mize is kind of getting that shade that he's getting right now out there. When you kind of look at this thing back and forth, Mize is generating swings. His fastball's out there, and it's got a little spin movement to it that's making players swing and miss. The other side of things is Marsh has only allowed 2 runs over his last 4 starts. So it's a tricky spot, but I think that this is a tighter situation in terms of the game is being concerned. You look at the lineup for the Royals. Yeah, so we talked about this probably at the start of the season. Perez, Bobby Witt, some strong guys out there that can certainly go and get the job done. But, I think this is a spot where it's kind of it's contrarian look. You look at the Detroit Tigers against Southpaws. They're only a 2.74 on-base average out there. But I just have this sneaky suspicion to me that Alec Marsh is going to struggle in this game here. It's going to be a lower scoring game, probably a 3-1 final. But we've got the Detroit in the under at plus 275 and then the under 9 at minus 108. Same situation that we talked about yesterday. We had that Boston in the under spot there to get a couple of multi-unit play for a single unit investment. That's where we want to go. That's going to be the official rollover. Will be the under 9. We'll start the rollover with under 9. Starting the rollover with under 9. I just want to make it clear for everybody. We're starting the rollover today with the under 9. And it's a $100 start. So I'll call it 100. It'll be 108. 108 to win 100. The first start for us here to get it done. So let's move onward and upward. We've got 3 more MLB games to go. This next game we're going to talk about is the Baltimore O's out there and the St. Louis Cardinals. This line is all Baltimore right now. 72% of the bets and 89% of the cash on Baltimore. Yet it's only moved 3 cents. We do have significant movement though on the Cardinals. It went from plus 128 to plus 148 on the St. Louis Cardinals side of things. Then we look at this total. Nine's kind of getting a lot. Well, it's getting a lot of action. 96% of the bets, 95% of the cash. We're not seeing a ton of movement, though. Kind of an interesting, I didn't expect to see that, but we got Lance Lynn on the bump for the St. Louis Cardinals, 4.17 earned run average. Then we got Kyle Bradish on the other side for the Baltimore Orioles out there. I'm targeting runs in this game. I'm looking at these two guys here, and I see that, first of all, I'm going to go to the first 5 team total over 2.5. We cashed that yesterday with the Astros. I told you that's one of the spots that I really started to get into. I like to be able to isolate these pitchers, and I don't want to lay the minus a halves and fuck around with a chance that I'm going to end up losing because it's a tie. This give me 3 runs and we win this thing from a Baltimore side of things. And it's minus 105 for the first 5. Why? What do I like that one most? Because Lance Lynn's a fucking ducks on the pond type of guy. He's allowed 4 runs in each of his last 3 starts. Shaky doesn't begin to describe what this guy's arm looks like when he's throwing that ball across the plate out there. I think, first of all, we see the runner. He's probably got a runner on third base already right now, would be my guess for Lance Lynn. I haven't looked at the game yet. I don't think it's officially started, but I think just for sport, they're going to put a guy out there on third base just to save everybody the effort. And, the thing is, I could see where I think it's going to be trouble for Lance Lynn is what I'm trying to say here is it's the plate discipline that the Orioles have. They're not just swinging at everything when it comes to righties out there. They're hitting with power. And they got a .185 ISO. That's a pretty strong situation out there to favor these guys. The 2.5 seems low to me, but I'm taking the over 2.5. Then on the other side with Kyle Bradish, he's not pitching very deep. He's not getting past that second time in the rotation. He hasn't pitched past the 5th inning in any of the 3 starts that he's had this season. He's been struggling at best with that. And the Cards bats have been pretty red hot as of late. They're a 3.66 OBA over the past week. I'm not interested in what they did 3 weeks ago. I just want to hear what they did this past week. And that's kind of how I arrived at this double dipper here. I want Baltimore. I want to exploit Lance Lynn, this fucking guy born with runners on base. I also want to take an opportunity to fade away on Kyle Bradish. Shout out to anybody that's trying to get in there. I'm not trying to lay a minus 160 on the Baltimore Orioles in this case here. I don't do a lot of the team total overs. I don't do a lot of the first 5 overs, but when I do, I want to really hammer in on that angle. Stephen Hairston in the house. Hairston, good to see you, Stephen. Man, I'm struggling to talk today, you guys. I don't know what happened here. It says Baltimore lines are always weird. Baltimore run line. Panger life, says KC. Easy work. BT in the house says family. Let's go. And Fletcher Berry says Razor is hats. What does that say? Fletcher Berry, Razor, his gambler's first glance. Is that $4 million play? I'd like to have. I don't know if I could stomach having a $4 million play. Let's go. Fernando Mendoza says, glad I took the under 4.5 first 5 plus 106 in the Guardians game. Peter Gracia says Lance Lynn is bullpen all day. LOL. And there's my guy P Dog says Lance doesn't feel comfortable unless the bases are loaded. That's what I'm saying. It's a great opportunity for us to take advantage with this Baltimore first 5 team total. And fuck, why not Baltimore just get 5 runs and smash it? If you guys are on Baltimore, you can catch your win as well. I do like a little bounce back situation. They were manhandled yesterday. They were out of their element. It was 5-0 before the game even started, and they were just out of it. They couldn't do anything. 6-3 final makes it look like it was a lot closer than it was. They were smashed guts out there. But let's go. P-Dog says, I got the Rangers at plus 100 this morning. They are now minus 104. New York Rangers win game 1. Love the hockey talk, you guys. Let's go. We got the next game up on this bump for us here on the mound. Takes us down to H-Town. Shout out to LJ from H-Town here. We got the LA Angels and the Houston Astros. We got 87% of the bets and 87% of the cash on the Astros. No line movement. None. Then we look at the total. We got from 8.5 to 9. 96% of the bets and 97% of the cash on the over. Fair disclaimer here, or full disclosure, I should say, with these totals. These lines were down like all morning. You weren't able to see what the cash flow was out there. So something happened with their algorithm to kind of boost these things. So where I see a lot of money on the over and it's not moving, I just wonder if that's because they're not capturing the open number at the right spot, if that makes sense. I don't know. Shit was broken with their system is what I'm trying to say. But as we look at this one here, you guys know the deal. We talked about this guy last game out there. Everybody was fading him. He's not right. He's coming back. He's got a neck problem. Not us. We cash. Christian Javier got the job done with a 3.23 ERA, 3-1 on the season. And then we got Griffin Canning on the other side of things with a 5.21 ERA, 2-4 record. Talk about not getting run support. It's interesting because when you see this Angels team and what happened out there, Mike Trout goes bye-bye. We even talked about this yesterday with Jose. Didn't matter. They exploded in that fifth inning to finish that game 9-7, smoked the over in that thing as well. If you were on the under, RIP. And they've been doing it. They did it against the Texas Rangers as well, 9-3. They lost 3-2, but then they came back and won 4-1 as well. But here's the thing about this squad. First of all, Christian Javier, Astros 7-0 when Christian Javier is coming off a start where he worked 5 or more scoreless innings. He got the job done that last game. We were the beneficiaries of jumping in early on this guy's rehab stints, if you will, or is coming back from the IL. And what happens is he continues to run the streak when he gets there. 7-0 in those spots. The Angels scored a lot of runs yesterday. When they score at least 8 runs and they win the game by no more than 8 runs, they're 0-10. So they came from behind. They put up a ton of runs. That's kind of the blown load theory. You scored a shitload of runs. It was just enough to get the win, but you kind of ran out of gas. You're kind of out of all the extra oomph you need to get the job done the following game. Then we got a divisional dog factor. When you're a divisional dog and you're longer than plus 155, you're 0-17. Big dog for a reason, and they continue to lose, losing by almost 5 runs per game. I'm rolling for the bounce back here. That was a bad spot for them Houston Astros. Shout out to Jose Buquet. He was saying that they fell off their, I forgot the shit line that this Astros guy was using. They fell off their game plan for 1 inning and they got touched. I don't think so. The way I saw that game is you left the guy in 1 inning too long and you got fucking fried for it. But I think it's a good bounce back spot. I like this Astros bat situation right now. They're not absent of scoring, and I think this is the spot where we will see the Angels struggle to come back and score in this game. Home team or not, I'm taking the Astros minus 1.5. I expect a repeat of yesterday with the exception of all that run pukage that took place to get the win for them Angels fans out there. Congrats to them Angels fans yesterday, but today we're going Stro show, and it's plus 104. So the fact that we can catch a nice plus 104 spot on the minus 1.5 is right where I like to be. It goes there. Everything I preach about how we want to hammer this Major League Baseball season. And then last but not least, let's talk about this Colorado game here. Colorado Rockies, Oakland Athletics, 9:40 p.m. This is the game that popped off where everyone was like, how do you know when to play the shit team? And you got to play them all the time. That's not true. You just got to play them at the right time. And I think today is the right time. We got a minus 132 line for the Athletics, 74% of the bets, but only 27% of the cash on Oakland. It's dropped 3 cents. Let's not forget, Oakland's at home. It's a shit place to play. They might get 150 fans out there. They're giving out free hot dogs, free Cokes, free massages between the innings, and they still can't get their fans to show up to this game. It's a bounce back opportunity for these Rockies here. This total 7.5, 97% of the bets, 97% of the cash on the over. We're not seeing any movement. It's Cal Quantrill starting for the Colorado Rockies, 3.66 ERA, 3-3 on the season. Then we got Brooks making a run out there for the Oakland Athletics team, 3.86 ERA, 0-1 spot there. I'll tell you, short, sweet, and to the point. I am taking this Colorado Rockies team. This was the other game that I was kind of hemming and hawing on, but I'm starting to see the line movement where I expected it now. I can see a plus 112 that's out there for Colorado. There wasn't even, regardless of the fact, let me take a step back. The Oakland Athletics in the first game of a series are 31-11 if you fade them. They're 11-31 in their first game of a series. Now they're playing at home where they don't have any type of home field advantage. And we got this Colorado Rockies team that's trying to get their shit back together. I think it's a great opportunity to jump in there, to find their shit back together as they were running hot. They had 8 straight wins until they ran into that buzzsaw that was them San Francisco Giants. We already talked about the Giants and why they're the best play on, I think, earlier today. Then as we look at this one here, how did the Oakland Athletics do against right-handed pitchers? They're 20-52 against right-handed pitchers. This is where that large sample size comes into play to say they're bad in the first game of a series. They're bad against right-handed pitchers. Now they're at home where there's really no discernible home field advantage. Give me the Rockies at plus 112. I wish that number was higher, But the fact that it's suspiciously low means that they want that Oakland Athletics money, in my opinion. This line's dropped from 125 to plus 112s. That last bit of movement is the spot that we were looking for to get after it. So let's do just that, and let's move gears and talk about the NBA. I see our guys got the monitor on. He's just about ready to go. Let's see what you guys have going on in the chat. Kelly V says tie for neither to reach 5 runs, plus 148. Colorado-Oakland game. John says Guardian 2-0 out there. And Panger Life says, never over till the fat lady sings. Ain't that the truth? Fernando Mendoza says Yankees under 8.5 and Houston under might be a 2-piece for our guy, Fernando Mendoza. And Coin says, especially when they bring in the openers, not the closers. Tori Coker says the Panthers to win the championship at plus 800. And P-Dog says it's never over until the last out in baseball. Coin says Milwaukee's off to a 1-0 start. Let's bring on our next guest. I'm fired up to talk association with this guy, not just men's, but women's association as well. You guys know him. You love him. He's our Tuesday specialist coming out here to guide us to victory in the association. Please welcome Billy Briz. All right. I'll welcome him.
What up, Licky Money?
What's up, my guy?
Doing good, man. A little bit sweaty right now. Got some SEC tournament action popping off today for college baseball. Had to get in on the Vandy boys.
Makes sense why I've been seeing a shit ton of people tweeting out about college basketball today or college baseball today. Lots of tweets flying around there talking about these games, but we got some big games coming up here in both the NBA and the WNBA. And I've got some action for the 7:30 WNBA game, but we still got 38 minutes until we get there. So I think we can squeeze this Pacers Celtics spot. And it's the only game on the line today. Series 3, game number 1, Eastern Conference Final, the Indiana Pacers, the Boston Celtics. And this line opened at 9.5. It shot up to 10.5 before starting to settle back down around 10. 59% of the bets and 54% of the cash on the Pacers, Billy. And it's dropping up. It's moved up. Then we look at the total. It's gone from 220 to 223s out there. 93% of the bets, 94% of the cash on the over in this game. And it's moved. It's got correlated movement now, 222.5 on that total. Starting to see some 223s. Billy Briz, I talked yesterday about the way I was going to attack this series. I started off, I said, first of all, I don't want to play the fuck around game here where I'm trying to debate when I'm going to take the 10.5 versus when I'm going to lay the 10.5. So what I did is I came out there and I said, give me the Celtics to win the series 4-2. It was plus 400. And I got the Celtics series to go over 5.5 games at plus 135. Strategically, I wanted to start there because I just got to find 2 spots that I think the Celtics or that the Pacers win a game. And maybe they're both at home. I don't know. But as far as the sides and totals are concerned for tonight's game, though, I did want to attack this over. I got 221.5. It's now 222.5. I'll talk about it momentarily, Billy, but the floor is yours. Welcome in. It's Tuesday, and you know what you do. Let's do some damage. Let's get some cash. Fired up. Talk to us about this Celtics-Pacers game.
Yeah, nice little rematch here of circling it back to the beginning of the season, the NBA play-in tournament here where these two teams were in the same bucket of teams, and the Pacers ended up beating the Celtics and getting into the play-in tournament where they end up going to the final against the Lakers. Wonder how that plays into the Celtics' little memory here for game 1. Should be an interesting game. Both teams dealing with injuries. Of course, the Celtics would love to have Kristaps Porzingis. And, man, if there was ever a series for Benedict Mathurin to be a X factor in, it would be in this one here. But when it comes to a side, I kind of lean towards the side of the Celtics, obviously. I would lay the points, but I didn't get to the window with laying the points. I was more interested in the team total over here for the Celtics. Didn't make it official, but it seems like the easy money here could just be on the over for both teams. I mean, all the money's pouring in here on the over, and deservedly so when you look at the way that last series went for the Pacers, and then you replace the Boston Celtics offense in there. I mean, it's like double the offensive efficiency. So definitely think the Celtics are going to score some points. And I think it's going to be from Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points here at minus 115. The Pacers have struggled guarding Jaylen Brown throughout the years. They have allowed Brown to average 27.3 points per game over their last 8 head-to-head matchups. He's gone over his point prop 9 out of his last 12 games versus Indiana. This season, he's gone over 4 out of 5 games, with the one miss being a blowout where he played 25 minutes. And without Porzingis in the lineup, he's gone over his point prop in 8 out of his last 11 games, 4 out of his last 6 during the playoffs here. So I like Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown action for our guy, Billy Briz. I'm with you on the total. I kind of, you see it there in the screen, not kind of, but these guys played combined for 253 points in 3 of the 4 times they played in the regular season. 253. I know, like, we're sitting there at 30 points less. Why? Because it's the playoffs now. Who's going to play defense if you're looking at the Boston side of things? The only guy that's real true defender out there is Drew Holiday. And the rest of them just want to run and gun. I think the first game of the series, this thing gets opened up and ripped apart. And 2 of the highest scoring teams in the NBA to begin with out there. Nobody shoots more fucking 3-pointers than the Celtics as well. So I thought that was a great spot. But, the way I wanted to attack the series, Billy, knowing that I've got the props out there, I was trying to find the right spot to take the Pacers. I almost think today is that spot. They came off of running red hot. And I'm not back-to-back spots where the Pacers ran red hot. I'm not of the opinion that just because it's a new series now, they forgot how to shoot. They're feeling it. The hoop looks huge for these guys right now. But I'm going to channel my inner Billy Briz here. I'm going to go to Sammy Hauser. I want to attack the props in this series too, because again, I'm not messing around with those 10s. I feel like I got fucking hooked the last 2 weeks in the NBA. But Sammy Hauser, over 7.5 points, rebounds, and assists. His point number was 4.5 at plus 102. But I went to the PRA, from a perspective of how this guy's effectiveness looks out there. He's not playing a ton, somewhere between 9 and 20 minutes, but he's playing him pretty much, consistently. He's averaging 11 points against. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I like the look for him in this series. The Cavs series was not a good matchup for him. The Pacers series seems like more of like a Sam Hauser matchup. And, a little icing on the cake, Wisconsin boys. So, the locals, let them light that bitch up out there against the locals.
I like it. I think that's the way for me. That's the way theory being I need him to get 2 3-pointers and a rebound. He should be able to board up out there, and I expect him especially if this thing keeps the pace that I expect this game to run with this over. Someone's going to gas out, and they're going to need to bring some of these bench guys out there to figure that out for him. So I looked at Pritchard. I saw his over 1.5 threes. It's even money. I was considering that, but Sammy Hauser over 1.5 threes is plus 140. So might have to try to finagle a way to kind of get a couple of Sammy Hauser spots out there, but the PRA for me at 7.5 minus 105. Rooting for some points. That kind of correlates with me as far as how I want to see that thing attack. And wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. Yeah. Should the Celtics kick the shit out of these boys? They should. Thing about this one, though, when you previously played this team, when it's a rematch spot, when the 2 teams played and it was an over, your team total went over 119 the previous game. You're 9-2 to the over in those spots out there. Also, worth noting, when the Pacers are out for revenge against a conference opponent, they're 24-14 outright. 25-13 against the spread, 24-14 outright. Let me say that again. In the revenge spot against the conference, the Pacers are 24-14 outright. Not saying I'm getting there as far as that side is concerned, but I need 2 wins, Billy. 4-2, Celtics win the series for plus 400. I'd take one today. I wouldn't be mad if they want to come out there and shock the world and everyone goes, what the hell just happened?
I think if you're taking the over, though, I think you're going to need the Celtics to score. So I would kind of be more attracted by the Celtics team total over, just in case if they do end up blowing the smokes out of the Pacers, you're only really fucking with 1 total. Because if that game does go over the total, the Celtics are going to have to score.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I expect at least in my. As a game script this thing out, I think we see the track meet to start this thing off. And then, it's just like anything else. They'll play chess. They'll figure it out. They'll come settle back in and try to make some moves happen out there.
The economy of it is there will be a lot of 3-point shots taken in this series. It's just, are they going to fall? It's kind of like the Thunder Maverick series from the last one. It's like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of threes taken, but hey, if one team doesn't fucking hit them, then these overs aren't going to hit. So it's like you're going to need both teams to be efficient.
I just want to see some points game one. Let's have a fun game one. Let's see a lot of points. Let's get a lot of player props cashed out there. Joe Yurkovich says that the Pacers lose game one. Pacers money line game two. Chase will be the bet. That's an interesting way to go about it. Kelsey says 24-2 end of the first quarter, Boston. I don't know about that. But let's roll on, Billy. So I got you locked in. I got you down there with the over, and I've got you loaded up with Jaylen Brown, right?
No, just the Jaylen Brown point prop. Today was a short slate for me. Ended up having a little early. This got to be the first college baseball game I fucking bet in at least about a year. So we went in on it. So we had to reel back a couple of plays in a couple other organizations. No MLB plays.
Well, you got me hooked with this WNBA. You know, as long as we can get a side or a total, I'm going to bet on it anyways. But it's been fun. The Caitlin Clark watch now 1-3 to the under in her point props, right? 1-3 to the under, I believe is or is it 1-1? Yeah, it's 1-3 to the under. 1-3. She got one.
Man.
They started her at 21.5. She didn't get it. They moved her to 20.5. She didn't get it. Then they moved her down to, I believe it was 19.5. She did get it. And she popped back up to 20.5 and she did not get it. So the fadeaway Caitlin Clark props have been effective, but no Caitlin Clark tonight. We do have the Wings and the Dream at 7:30, Billy. Start this thing off here. 67% of the bets, 85% of the cash on the Dream. It was all a dream. They went from -4 to -5.5 and a total that's moved 4 points on up. Both these teams sitting at 1-1. Billy Briz, what's your WNBA card look like tonight? Do you have some action going around in this game?
Yeah, this is one where I'm right on out saying I'm on the Dream -5 here. The odds makers are respecting the historical trends here for the Dallas Wings for this one, as they've won 7 out of the last 10 head-to-head matchups versus the Dream, winning 6 straight, beating the Dream in all 5 matchups last year. But this is a playoff revenge spot here for the Dream. Season home opener here. We had a nice little West Coast road trip to start off the season here for the Atlanta Dream. The Wings injury list just keeps on growing game by game. They started the season missing Satu and her backup Kuehler, and then the preseason standout Jaylen Brown. No, not the Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, Jaylen Brown. She broke her nose in the first game of the season. I think the depth problems are something that is going to have a problem here against the Dream. The Dream are more balance of attack with Gray, Howard, and Tina Charles. I feel like the market, we'll get into the other games, but their 2 West Coast road games are 2 teams that the market is saying are some of the worst teams in the league. But I don't think the market has caught up to how decent I think that the Sparks are going to be this year and the Mercury. I think they're going to be better than preseason expectations. If that's true, I think that the Dream could beat the Wings by a surprising margin here tonight.
It's interesting. It's an interesting take. So both these teams are 1-1, right? They're starting off there. And I do agree with you from the injury perspective with Dallas. That's definitely an issue. Natasha Howard, I don't see her final status either, but I think she's another one that's going to be out of there. And then, at the end of the day, they've been leaning. They've gone heavy. I can't say her name. Is it Okumwale?
Yeah, Enrique Umbumwale coming off that big game over the weekend. I think it was 35.
Yeah.
And they lost by like 20.
Yeah, she's out there balling and hooping right now. She's averaging 30 points. But when I looked at this game, first of all, I saw the cash coming in. I saw it steaming, right? -4 to -5.5. But I kind of read the Dream a little different there. Now, I'm no WNBA guy here for sure. I'm still learning the game from you, Billy. But the Sparks stuck. Now, maybe they're better this year, but they suck. And the Mercury didn't have Brittany Griner when they went out there and beat them up. So I just thought this was a spot where these 2 teams, 5.5 just felt like it was too many to me. Maybe it ends on 5 and I win by the hook, or true to form, you smash me like we do every time we go head to head. I hope not, though. It'll be fun. So you're official with the 5?
Yeah, official with the 5. Biggest bet of the WNBA season so far. I have an addiction to betting the Atlanta Dream games, either for or against them. And tonight's 4 Coming off that West Coast road trip, we'll get into it, man, but I don't think the Sparks of Mercury are as bad as the market perception is of them. I mean, they had 2 tough, gutty games. I mean, they come in 2 road trips two road games to start off the year that are both home openers back to back. I mean, now they get their chance to get some playoff revenge. The Dallas Wings swept them last year in the playoffs. I think this is a bounce back spot for the Dream. They added in Tina Charles over the all season. I would say a legend of the WNBA. I don't know why she was out all of last year, but she didn't play all of last year. She's been looking good since coming back. But the Dallas Wings, they do have Enrique Ngumbawale, but as you saw in the last game, man, that 101 to 70, not 101-74. The last game that they played against the Sky, I feel like it's hard to really judge the Wings because they played the Sky back-to-back times, but you're out here losing the double digits against the fucking Chicago Sky. What? What is going on? I get it, you guys play back-to-back games, but it's like Enrique had 35 and nobody else scored double digits. So it's like the injuries are a problem. I think that's what they're going to do tonight, though, is they're going to let Enrique, go score 40 fucking points. As long as nobody else scores double digits, we'll probably win the game because you guys won't score more than 60.
Well, it's definitely uncomforting feeling being on the opposite side, but I am where I am. We are where we are. Let's talk about this. You kind of foreshadowed these next games here. Let's start with the Mystic and the Sparks. That's a 10 p.m.er. We've got right now pretty heavy action. 72% of the bets, no cash detail, but the Mystics line has moved from +3.5 to 2.5 out there. Then as far as the total, we got 75% of the bets and 86% of the cash on the over, and it's sitting at 158.5. No movement. The Mystics 0-3. The champions of the league, Billy Briz says the LA Sparks 0-2. Put some respect on their names. Billy, talk to us about this Mystic and Sparks game. What's going on here?
This is what I have listed as what we call in the sports betting industry as a carnival game. Like in the NBA where it's like 2 kind of ass teams playing each other, but it's like, I might not want a better spread, but the props are looking nice for this one. And the line movement has really came down because Shakira Austin is more than likely probably going to give it a go for this one tonight. She's still on the minutes limit, but that's a huge ad for the Mystic. They were severely shorthanded in their last game, hence why they got blown out. And we bet the under, and it cashed by like damn near 30 points. That was like Sunday, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was the Mystics' last game. We're going back in though for some carnival props here for this one. I got a little same game parlay action here. They juiced out a couple of things, so we had to juice it back in. If you want to play certain ones as singles, you could play them as singles. Carly Samuelson, we got her 10-plus points. Lexi Brown, 10-plus points. Carly Samuelson, 2+ threes. Kia Nurse, 2+ threes. Van Loo, 5 assists. And Cameron Brink, 5 rebounds. Going into this one here, on the Washington Mystics side of the ball, I definitely think there's good value on their starters because I feel like the market hasn't really adjusted for Elena Delle Donne not being on the team. Shakira Austin's is on the minutes limit, but I mean, shit, the way she looked in that first game of the season, I got 2 DFS lineups tonight, and I had to play her in one because she looked really good in that first game of the season. So she had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 blocks. And then against the Connecticut Sun in Alyssa Thomas and Brianna Jones, probably the biggest front court in the WNBA, she had 10 points, 9 rebounds. So she sat the last game versus Seattle for a rest, but she's back for this one. The other guard, I believe her name is – where's that girl's name? Atkins. Ariel Atkins has been going off. Coming off a 19-point game against Seattle, playing 30 minutes. Against Connecticut, she played 33 minutes. She had 8.7 assists. And against New York, Liberty, probably the team that I have as the best team in the East, 20 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. So she's been going off. That's another person in the circle for player props. And Carly Samuelson, we got to go back to the way that she cashed that over 1.5 threes. Her point prop is 11.5. She's been in the starting lineup. She's been going off of recent. And probably one of my favorite player props of the day, minus 125 here for Julie Van Loo, over 5.5 assists. If you're playing daily fantasy tonight, she's by far best value play of the slate. She had started the last 2 games against Connecticut. She had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. Against Seattle, she missed it by the hook, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. But as me and Mike were talking about earlier, they got blown out by 30 in that game. So you don't expect them to go over the point prop and shit like that in that game. But this one here, I kind of lean towards the Mystic, and reluctantly, I don't want to put my money on it, but if you put a gun to my head, I would have to bet the over here, man. We were joking about this last week, me, you, and Dave, about how I guess they're saving money for the LA Sparks this year, and they moved their home arena to the Long Beach State Gym, the Pyramid Arena, that has fucking shadows on the court and shit with the lighting. So it kind of makes you not want to put a lot of money on LA Sparks home games.
No, that's a deep take out there when you start talking about the shadows and the lighting out there. Shout out to Long Beach getting it done, but they got to do something. It's so bizarre to hear a WNBA team play. I don't know. I guess it's no more bizarre than hearing that. Yeah. I mean, look, what are you gonna say? You know, that is a battle of 2 offers that should be a lot of fun to see. You know, what's funny is there are 2 offer teams there, but somehow there's still only a 2-point situation in terms of how this game's going to go down. But Billy, the last game on the card, 10 p.m., the Mercury, you just talked about them, and the Aces going out there running shop. This line opened at 16. It's moved to 14 now. And the total's moving up from 169.5 to 173. I have no information on cash flow, but I do know the Aces, 2-0 on the season. I know the Mercury 1-1 on this season as well. And I did make a move in this game. I was considering 2 moves in this game. I'm curious to hear if you have any action on this one here. We know the Aces 89-82 against them, Spark. They had the Phoenix team 89-80 as well. So they're starting off tight. And that leads me to think that there's a little bit of a Vegas tax in there, being that they are reigning WNBA champions out there. The Mercury, the 1-1, you know, they just played them Aces 89-80. Do we see something similar? What do you think?
This is a little bit of fandom in me. You know, my favorite WNBA team is the Phoenix Mercury, and my favorite WNBA player is Diana Taurasi. So there's a little bit of fandom in me. You know, game 1, circling it back to a week ago, I did take the Aces minus 15.5. Mercury ended up backdoor covering. They ended up winning the game by 9, ended up losing the bet. But from watching that game, shit, man, it felt like there was a lot of meat left on that bone on that total, man. The way that the Mercury started off the fucking game, the first quarter score is 29-14, and the game still went over the total. Finished at 169. If anything, I feel like both teams were using their star players, if that makes sense. Like we see this in college basketball sometimes, that drives totals, is if both star players on the according teams have good matchups, then they're just going to run up the score. I mean, Asia Wilson had fucking 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists in the first game of the season. Diana Taurasi had 7 3-pointers. Clea Copper had 19. She's coming off a 35-point game in the Mercury home opener. I think this shit goes way over the total. If you want to get it live, you're kind of like rolling the dice with it, but I think this shit goes way up and over the total. I feel like we see this a lot of the time in organizations comparing like different sports and stuff, that they don't have a lot of information on the totals, so they just put a high total, but in reality, it's really not high enough. I mean, 173 for a women's basketball game is pretty high, and I don't think it's high enough. I think that they can run up the score even more. The way that both teams shot in that first game, the Aces shot 6 for 29 from the 3-point line in that first game of the season, and the game still went over the total. I think both of those things kind of revert, and we're going to continue seeing a lot of shooting. Up and over the total 173 would be my play in this one.
Up and over the total. I like the side. I went to the Mercury on this one. Much like well, your fandom for the Mercury. That's a new one. I didn't realize that was your team. But that being said, this is kind of like the Troy Torrance style situation here. When you got a team that opens up as the double-digit dog, and you see the action coming in on them, they're 137 and 106 in those spots. So it's about a 57% win rate, which is satisfactory. But then I look at like kind of the blueprint of what just happened yesterday with the Sun and the Fever, right? The Sun and the Fever game, they opened up that first game of the series. What were they, 14 or 15 point?
Even that Liberty game last night. I mean, they're minus 14. They were blowing them out the whole entire game. They ended up the Storm ended up backdoor covering. The game wasn't even really that competitive.
And so now you look at the second game in the matchup there, where they've kind of already seen them and they know what to expect. Situation where it might be too many points. Now that Fever line was definitely a telltale because that thing dropped all the way down to what was it, 5.5 before tip off there, and they ended up covering. I think it's a similar situation in this one here. The Mercury and the Aces. I think the Mercury, this is going to be too many points for.
I think Mike was going to say it was going to be too many points, and I kind of do agree with him. I kind of lean with it being just the slight smidgen too many points, to be honest with you. We always see this in sports betting when they run out the same exact line as it was the first game. I think the Mercury could backdoor cover this because I think this game goes way over. Like I can see this being like 100 to like 87, and that would give you a cover.
Sneak in and get the cover.
Yeah, like that's a cover, and that shit goes way over at that score. That's one of Becky Hammond's things is she likes to score 100 points as a team because she says it catches the attention of the public. But we got to watch out for the rookie, man. Kate Martin, co-teammate of Caitlin Clark, the only other girl that was actually relevant on that team. Mike, great story, man. She showed up. She went to the draft with Caitlin Clark to support Caitlin Clark and didn't think that she was going to get drafted. And with one of the last picks in the second round, the Aces ended up drafting her. She ended up going to Kelsey's Plum all-dog training camp, which is like undrafted girls, second-round girls. And she ended up making the roster for the regular season, got her first playing time over the weekend. And she could be the X factor that the Aces really need off the bench. One thing that I noticed in that first game of the season was the first quarter and the last quarter for the Aces were really good when the starters were in, but when the backups were in, holy shit, was the game like really just like even playing field plateau. I think we're going to see more Kate Martin minutes, and keep an eye out for props. And if you're playing some daily fantasy, throw in a lot too.
Fun stuff from our guy Billy Briz. Knows his WNBA almost as well as he knows the NBA itself. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing this thing evolve, Billy. I'm going to try to get better at the WNBA. I need you to guide me through it there. I don't like being head-to-head in that first game, but we'll see what happens. And now I know. Now I know that the Mercury are your favorite team. So learning something new every day. Shout out to you, Billy, and everybody that's rocking with us. Tell them where they can find you, what you got going on. Billy Briz, we made it.
Yeah, you can find me over on X and over at Instagram at getting. Oh, damn, I did that backwards. Over on X at getting_bills. Over on IG at Billy Briz DFS. It's a weird week. We got no MMA this week, so it's the dog days, as I like to call it. As you can tell, we're sweating a college baseball SEC playing 8 versus 9 game. But if there's an edge, we will find one here. Hopefully Vando can close out this game up 5-0. Little minus 110 pick 'em, then went up to minus 130. That's where you got to follow me over on X. You don't know what we're going to bet next. We were this smidgen close to cashing the Defenders over the weekend, UFL over the weekend. I got my elbows dirty for it. All the playoff seeds might be locked up, and the games might not matter, but there's betting lines and totals. We're going to be making some money on it, so make sure you follow me over on social media.
Shout out to Billy Briz, the one and only, crushing it for us here this season. NBA Tuesday's favorite guest out there. And he'll be back. You guys already know, does his WNBA research, and I'm excited to work in the summer with my guy, Billy Briz. Shout out to everybody up there in the chat, you guys. Listen, we got it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Go out there, support the show. We are listener supported. And if you guys were to become gold members, it would mean a ton. It's $9.99 a month. In addition to member exclusive shows and content, you got discounts to the merchandise store, and twice a week, you get yourself ownership in a virtual horse to go out there and win $50. Two $50 horse races every week on Jimmy the Bag Show. Don't have to be present to win, but why not get a little bit of that cash from our guy, Jeff Slaughter? Shout out to the gang. Shout out to my guy, T, on the ones and twos. Shout out to Billy Briz for coming in on the regular, always prepared to go. And all you guys and girls in the chat, AOD, Kelly V, Justin McKelvey, Tori Coker, Phil the Kill, Kelsey, Dan in the house from down under. Let's go, you guys. Let's have a great night. Let's get that cash, and let's see you guys back here tomorrow. Last call, 6 p.m., Pub Sports Radio. Stay pubbing, baby. Get that money.